Good evening, wanderer. You found me once again here in the quiet dark, where the Codex waits to be opened. I am Selene, keeper of the Whispered Codex, and tonight, another story will unfold for you. Dark legends and forgotten lore, softly told. So get into a comfortable position, let your eyes grow heavy, and listen for the story that has been waiting to be told. Long ago, before the villages grew loud and busy, before the stars hid behind smoke, there was a forest known as Ashen Wood. It sat at the edge of the world, or so the villagers believed, a tangle of roots and silence, so deep and so still it seemed to hold its own breath. No bird sang there, no wolf howled. Even the streams ran quieter when they entered its shadow. By day it was merely strange, a dark smear of gray and green against the hills. But at night, it became something else. At night, the mist would curl low between the trunks like a living thing. Shadows stretched impossibly long, and the moon would come closer than anywhere else, as though it favored Ashen Wood, as though it longed to see what was hidden beneath the canopy. The villagers watched it from afar, lighting their lanterns and lifting pale faces skyward. On full moons they gathered in their little square and sang old songs, their voices thin and soft against the vast silence. They gave thanks to the moon, as though it were theirs to thank. They danced, they laughed, they spoke of its blessings, brighter crops, safer roads, happier marriages, and they never thought about the shadows watching them from the trees. One shadow in particular. He was no larger than a bundle of firewood, with narrow shoulders and red fur darker than brick. His tail was bushy and bright, curling and uncurling as he sat, and his eyes, golden and sharp as broken glass. The fox had been watching the villagers for years, at first with curiosity, then with envy, and finally with quiet, simmering resentment. As a cub, he had thought the moon a kind companion. He would watch it alone from the hilltops, waiting for it to notice him, to shine just a little brighter for his sake. He thought perhaps it liked cleverness, and the fox was clever. He had outwitted every trap, every hunter, every rival who crossed his path. Surely the moon would see him, not the fat villagers with their clumsy lanterns. But night after night, the moon passed over him as though he were nothing, as though he were just another shadow. He would curl himself tighter in his den, whispering little grievances to the ceiling of roots above him. Why them? Why not me? And as the seasons turned, those whispers became promises. I'll show you what clever really means, he would murmur into the earth. You'll see me. On the longest night of winter, when the moon was at its fullest and the frost clung thick to every branch, the fox decided it was time. He rose from his hollow, shaking the snow from his fur, and crept through the wood with his tail low and his ears pricked forward. The air was still and heavy, as though even the wind dared not disturb the quiet. Above him, the moon shone brighter than he had ever seen it, full and pale and perfect, swelling against the edges of the sky. The clearing ahead gleamed like polished silver, and the fox slowed as he approached, his paws silent on the crusted snow. He stood there a long while, staring upward. His breath curled faintly before him, catching the moonlight like smoke. And finally, softly but clear enough for the stars to hear, he called, "Come closer." The sound startled him. It sounded strange in the vast silence, small but steady. Come closer. Why do you shine for them and not for me? Nothing moved. The trees stood still. Even the stars seemed to watch. But then there was a shimmer, a faint vibration in the air, as though the sky itself had breathed. And the moon tilted. Its light sharpened, brightened, and the clearing glowed as though each flake of snow had been polished to glass. The fox's heart beat faster. "Closer," he whispered, claws digging into the frozen ground. "You belong to me now." The moon leaned down. Its light pressed into the clearing until it seemed to hum beneath his paws. And with one perfect, graceful leap, the fox snatched the moon in his jaws and swallowed it whole. The world fell silent. The clearing went black. The stars winked out. The fox landed lightly, his breath quick and hot in the still air. He could feel the moon inside him now, warm and alive. His fur shimmered faintly with threads of silver light, and his chest swelled with pride. "Mine," he whispered to no one. Finally, mine. At first, the forest only watched him. The mist curled thicker around the trees, clinging to his fur. The silence stretched, strange and dense. He began to walk through the woods, his tail high, each paw print glowing faintly in the snow. The branches above glimmered where he brushed them. Every stone and root seemed to turn toward him, attentive. He climbed the ridge and looked down at the village. The lanterns below flickered faintly in the blackness. He could hear them calling in panic. "Where has the moon gone?" Their cries pleased him. "Now you see," he murmured. "Now you see what clever looks like." But the mist grew thicker. The air felt heavy. The paths twisted. Somewhere behind him came a faint, soft rustling. He froze. The sound came again, silk on bark, though no wind stirred the branches. "Come out," he called into the mist. "You've been watching, haven't you? Well then, see me properly." From the trees they emerged. Pale figures, tall and narrow, with hollow, featureless faces and long fingers that trailed through the snow. Their eyes glowed faintly gold, like his own. They circled him in silence. "Give it back," they whispered, though none of them moved their mouths. "It does not belong to you." "No," the fox snapped, baring his teeth. "It's mine now. I took it." "You do not know what you hold," one of them whispered. "You do not know its weight." "I know enough," the fox growled. "Enough to see you never dare to take it yourselves." They tilted their heads in unison. "We do not take," they said. "We only remind. Nothing taken stays." "We'll see about that," the fox muttered, and darted into the forest. The forest began to change. Branches twisted into strange, impossible shapes. The trees leaned toward him, their roots splitting the ground into black veins. The air grew damp and sharp with stone dust. Behind him, the pale figures followed without hurry, silent, waiting. The glow in his chest began to burn hotter. At first, it was only warm. Then it stung. Then it seared. His paws stumbled on hidden roots. His breath came fast, white in the cold. The light inside him grew brighter, leaking through his ribs, blinding him with its brilliance. "Why do you chase me?" he howled into the dark. "Why won't you leave me be?" Their whispers answered, "Nothing taken stays." He stumbled again, his strength fading. The light inside him felt like fire. But still he whispered, "Mine, it's mine," though even he could hear the word cracking. At last, he reached the river. The water was black and still, reflecting nothing. The fox collapsed on the bank, his breath shallow, his fur scorched at the tips. The light inside him blazed through his skin, searing him. The spirits gathered in silence. The fox raised his head weakly, golden eyes dim. "Take it back," he whispered. Please. The moon rose again, slipping from his ribs and climbing back into the sky. It burned silver and whole. The spirits faded into the mist without a word. The fox lay still, eyes following the moon's climb. He whispered softly to himself, Not everything you long for is meant to be yours. Some lights are meant only to be admired. There is wisdom in letting go. The river ran silently. The moon hung bright above the quiet forest. The fox lay by the water, no longer glowing, no longer burning, his golden eyes half closed. For the first time, he felt at peace. In the village below, the lanterns burned out. Few still looked skyward. Fewer still remembered how dark the night had felt without the moon. But the fox would remember. The moon was not his. It never had been. It was enough to see it. It was enough to love it from afar. The Codex closes for now. There is always another tale to tell. So rest well, wanderer. Until we meet again in the quiet dark, may you sleep deeply and dream warmly